Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We are taking off the writer's hat and stepping squarely into the shoes of a professional publishing consultant to tackle the core principles of wide ebook distribution. We're going to completely shift your mindset away from merely just uploading a file somewhere and towards building a robust, truly resilient publishing infrastructure. Remember, self-publishing, it's not just an upload button. It's a serious business decision. So let's get right into it.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start by moving beyond the upload button. Then we'll break down the draft to digital advantage, walk through the exact steps for executing your wide distribution, master the art of metadata consistency, dive into strict quality control, and finally, we'll wrap up with a definitive wide publishing checklist.
All right, Section 1, Beyond the Upload Button, moving from dependency to infrastructure.
Okay, I want to kick things off by asking you a critical question, one that every single professional indie publisher really needs to face. Are you platform dependent? You know, a lot of authors start out with Amazon KDP. And honestly, yes, KDP is incredibly powerful and super efficient. But we have to remember that platforms are service providers. They are not your publisher of record unless you explicitly allow them to be. When authors rely 100% on one platform, they tend to mistake platform access for true business ownership. Think about it. If your entire catalog, all your income, and your access to readers are tied up in a single retailer's ecosystem, you are absolutely vulnerable. True publishing is systems work, and systems are what actually create long-term sustainability.
So what does going wide actually mean in practice? Going wide simply means distributing your work across multiple digital retailers and library platforms, rather than relying on just one single algorithm. It's all about taking back control. Instead of, crossing your fingers and hoping a single platform search algorithm decides to favor you today, you're proactively creating multiple points of access for readers all over the world. The key takeaway here? Diversification is resilience. It ensures that if one retailer completely changes its policies or royalty structures tomorrow, your publishing business doesn't just suddenly collapse. You're essentially looking at a strategic trade-off here. On one side, you've got KDP Select, which demands 90-day exclusivity. Now, in exchange for that, you do get short-term visibility, countdown deals, and some algorithmic boosts. But on the flip side, you have wide distribution, and this is the path of long-term stability, structural resilience, and capturing readers in the global markets where they already love to shop. Look, it's not a moral choice, it's a strategic one. If you want a quick algorithmic spike, sure, exclusivity might help you out temporarily. But if you're acting as a long-term consultant for your own career, wide distribution aligns perfectly with building lasting infrastructure. Publishing isn't about being loyal to platforms, it's about aligning with your own business goals. Moving on to Section 2, the draft to digital advantage, operational efficiency for indie publishers. When you're ready to actually execute this, you basically have two paths, direct uploading or using an aggregator. Now, direct uploading absolutely gives you direct control, but it also means you're juggling a dozen different dashboards, tracking completely separate tax forms, and manually tweaking formatting requirements for every single vendor. I mean, it is quite literally the fastest way to get massive dashboard fatigue, unless you happen to have 3 monitors and a limitless supply of coffee. The admin workload is just huge. Conversely, an aggregator like Draft2Digital centralizes everything. You upload your file once, and they push your book out to multiple storefronts. You get simplified management, unified reporting, and streamlined distribution. And yeah, while aggregators do take a small percentage of your royalties, the operational efficiency you gain is totally monumental. It really all boils down to one fundamental truth. Time is a limited resource. For most authors, efficiency wins every time. As an indie publisher, you're wearing every single hat, right? You're the creator, the marketer, the administrator, the accountant. You have to protect your administrative time ruthlessly. Utilizing an aggregator isn't just about saving yourself a few extra clicks. It's a vastly superior business decision that lets you scale your catalog without drowning in operational friction. Let's look at the specific doors an aggregator actually opens up for you. You immediately unlock some seriously vital institutional and retail markets. We're talking seamless access to Apple Books and Barnes & Noble. You also reach Overdrive, which is huge because it powers the digital lending systems used by public libraries globally, making you eligible for library acquisitions. And crucially, especially if we're talking about the Canadian context, you reach Kobo. Tons of Canadian libraries and retailers integrate heavily with Kobo systems. Honestly, ignoring Kobo as a Canadian author is kind of like ignoring a major 8-lane highway right in your own city. You're just sitting there in traffic while your readers are miles ahead. Wide distribution makes absolutely sure you capture readers exactly where they already hang out.
All right, Section 3, executing wide distribution steps, deploying the aggregator system.
Let's turn this into an actual actionable execution plan. Step 1. You absolutely must ensure you are fully opted out of KDP Select exclusivity. If you distribute elsewhere while you're still enrolled, you seriously risk account termination, and nobody wants that. Step 2. Upload your validated, perfectly flawless EPUB file to Draft2Digital. Step 3. Actively select your broad retailer and library distribution channels right there inside their dashboard. And finally, Step 4. Manage your pricing strategically across different territories. Keep in mind, retail pricing psychology really shifts when you go wide. You've got to consider currency conversions, local international markets, and the varying royalty structures of each platform to find that sweet spot between competitive positioning and your own profit margin.
Section 4, mastering metadata consistency, the invisible gatekeeper.
We have now arrived at what is easily the strictest requirement of wide publishing, metadata compliance. Now, metadata is really just structured information about your book. But listen to this. Metadata fragmentation weakens discoverability. Think of it like this. If your manuscript is the content, your metadata is the map. If your title has a colon on one platform but a dash on another, or if your publication dates are slightly off, you create massive catalog confusion. Duplicate listings frustrate the retailers, they confuse the libraries, and ultimately, they damage your sales and your credibility as a professional publisher.
So, to prevent this fragmentation from happening, specific fields require absolutely 100% identical formatting across every single platform you use. No exceptions. Your title and subtitle punctuation, it has to match perfectly. The exact same goes for your series volume numbering. You need to ensure your BISAT categories, which are just the standard industry subject codes, align across the board, and keep your exact publication date synced up. You'll also want to make absolutely sure your imprint name is uniform everywhere. Small inconsistencies here don't just look a bit sloppy. They create deep, long-term catalog complications that are a total nightmare to clean up later. Uniformity isn't boring, it is highly professional.
Remember this. Automated systems simply don't care about your intentions. They read maps. Automated library systems, big wholesale distributors, even human acquisition teams, they do not care about your artistic vision when they are classifying your work. They rely entirely on exact data to place your book in the correct digital aisle. Once you realize that metadata is literally the institutional language of these systems, you'll stop treating it as an annoying formality and start treating it as your absolute primary positioning strategy. Because in this game, clarity will always be cleverness. Section 5. Quality control and formatting. Strict institutional compliance.
Now, let's talk about why wide and institutional distribution requires a significantly higher technical standard for your actual files. See, Amazon's KDP system is generally pretty forgiving. You can often just toss a basic Word document at it, and it'll spit out a perfectly readable Kindle file. But wide retailers and library platforms, they are an entirely different beast. They operate on very strict institutional formatting guidelines. Yes, publishing widely massively increases your visibility, but it also heavily increases the technical scrutiny on your work. These platforms require rigorous EPUB validation, and they have absolutely zero tolerance for layout errors. Your EPUB file literally has to be technically flawless. Under the hood, you need properly structured HTML and CSS. The file has to pass validation against industry standards without throwing a single error code. Accessibility is completely non-negotiable, especially for screen readers used in library systems, so ensure your file is totally free of dead links or quirky formatting. Believe me, you really do not want to incur the automated wrath of a library cataloging system. Sloppy formatting destroys your professional credibility in an instant, so you have to get it right the very first time.
Almost done. Section 6, the wide publishing checklist, finalizing your infrastructure.
Okay, before you hit publish on any wide release, you need a systemic readiness check. Let's run through it together. First, verify that KDP Select exclusivity is fully deactivated. Next up, confirm your EPUB file is fully validated and professionally structured. Ensure you have an independent ISBN assigned, and remember, owning your ISBN preserves your unique imprint identity. Check that your pricing strategy is properly aligned across all platforms, taking wholesale margins into account if necessary. Make sure your book description is professionally optimized and completely free of any weird formatting gimmicks. And finally, double-check that your international territories are actually enabled. Remember, slow publishing is strong publishing. Checking off these boxes now prevents a ton of administrative chaos down the road.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question. one that really strikes at the very heart of your business. If Amazon disappeared tomorrow, would your publishing identity still exist? Think about that. If the answer is no, then you are still platform dependent. But if you have fully embraced wide distribution, if you own your ISBNs, perfected your metadata, and built genuine infrastructure, then the answer is a resounding yes. True infrastructure outlasts any algorithm. So what steps are you going to take today to build a publishing business that truly belongs to you? Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.